How do you address the extra time it takes in your practices, to fit a multifocal patient versus a single vision patient, for example? And what about your fitting fees? Are they justifiably higher? How do you present this?
While we present this as an effortless fit because we do a good job of fitting it, it still is a specialty contact lens fit and should be treated accordingly. The value of a doctor is making the difficult look effortless, and patients pay for that.
We've set out to grow our contact lens practice. And what we've attempted to do with all of our doctors across our primary care practice is to offer 100% of our patients contact lenses as an option. And that doesn't matter their refractive error, their age, whatever it may be. Now, we shouldn't judge the patients and make the decisions for them, but give them the opportunities to choose what they feel is best for them by presenting the option.
But then when you get into the demonstration phase of a multifocal contact lens, what about at that point? Do you feel like, let's say the patient doesn't go ahead with it, but you've taken this extra time now as a professional, what do you do?
My job as a practitioner isn't to sell a patient, it's to educate a patient. And by me taking that time, I'm educating patients on the opportunities that are out there. If it benefits me financially, great. But if it doesn't, I've still educated the patients on the opportunities that are out there. But it also means that now that patient goes out to dinner with their friends and they're using reading glasses, as is their friends, and they're complaining about it, well, now I have an ambassador.
My advice to any practitioner regarding what I'm going to refer to as the consultative portion of the exam, which is the part where, we're done all the testing. That needs to be a well-defined, predetermined time that you just commit to, regardless of what you're talking about. I don't care if it's a 16-year-old myope, or if it's a 45-year-old presbyope, or if it's a 65-year-old glaucoma patient. You just need to have that time in there.
We know that as a specialty product, like multifocal lenses are, the fees are justifiably higher. How do you present that to the patient in light of all of the low-priced advertising that's occurring in our marketplace today?
Personally, I think it's a point of differentiation. I don't think there's any reason that we should shy away from the fees that we actually charge for something that, from the patient's perspective, they may not necessarily be able to get every place else.
Patients can compare the price per box from one vendor or one office to another office, but they can't really compare exam fees and fitting fees, because what I offer in my exam room is different than what somebody else offers. And as long as you're doing that and you're making the effort to do a good job with them and keep their best interest at heart, then I think they see that and are not as nitpicky about the prices.
Yeah. Almost any practice is built on the fact that certain specialty care items are, should cost more. Okay, especially with the expertise of the doctor and such. And I think pretty much throughout whatever kind of practice that you have, retail, HMO, private, it doesn't really matter. Generally, there's a true benefit to fitting, whether it be selling a progressive pair of glasses versus a pair of bifocals, fitting multifocal contact lenses versus fitting, spherical contact lenses. Where do we create value? Well, we create value with the type of eye exam that we give and the amount of information we give our patients and education we give our patients. But number two, in fitting them with things that are not considered to them run-of-the-mill. And a multifocal contact lens is not considered by a patient run-of-the-mill.
I think most patients are more concerned with finding the best value than they are the cheapest price. Mm-hmm. And so part of what you're charging for is the outcome. They pay more to not have a line in those glasses. And most of them are going to be willing to pay more to be able to see distance and up close in their contacts because they perceive a greater value in it.
The patients are paying for your expertise, and even when you try to dial down technically how these things work, they still don't really completely buy it. They buy the result. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of this kind of contact lens, where it doesn't really afford itself to start price shopping it.
John, 1/6 of the population makes their decisions solely on price, and they will go for the cheapest option. And that's 1/6 of the population that most likely will never go into multifocal lenses because they don't see the value. And we aren't here to serve that 1/6 of the population. We're here to serve whomever wants the opportunities that we provide. And if our fitting fees tend to be a little bit higher in order to justify the time, the expertise, and the efforts we put into that, then that's certainly understandable.